Welcome back to Primed for Battle. Today we're going to be painting the one and only Green Slaughterer, the once and future Git himself, Grimgor Ironhide, a favourite from my childhood, and I'm going to be using him as a Black Orc Warboss in the Old World. You can see on the screen now a list of paints that I used for today's video, and I've used a 3D printed 30mm square base to pop him on. Let's get cracking. To start with, I've used Black Legion contrast, and I've gone over the entirety of his armor. So that's on the legs and the feet, on his chest, on his arms and wrists, his shoulders, back, etc. Then I've used some Garagax sewer for the leather. So that's the pants that briefly show under the legs and the chainmail, and then also the leather straps that go up the arm to hold the armor plates on. Now I'm going to go through and use Dark Angel's green contrast for all of the skin. So for the most part, the skin is just visible on the arms and the armpits areas and the side of the chest, and also around the head and the back of the neck. Now I'm coming through with some Carroburg Crimson Shade. I'm using this on the gums. Don't worry too much if you get it on the teeth, that's pretty inevitable. You can just go back over that with white prior to painting the teeth. This will give the gums a nice pinky texture on the inside of the mouth. Right, and then I'm going to use some Dark Oath Flesh just on that Empire Knight's helmet that he's holding in his right hand. From there we're going to use some Blood Angel's Red. We're going to use that on the belt plate, and also the red shield on his right chest area there. And then I've used some Militarum green contrast paint just to paint that laurel around the knight's helmet there. Following that, I'm coming through with a highlight of Lauren Forest on the skin. We're going to use this on all the raised areas of the orc skin, all on the face especially. It shows a lot of character, but on the higher areas of the muscle, on the arms and under the armpit and on the back of the neck, etc. On the chin, leaving the Dark Angels just showing in the recess. Then I've come through with Orc Flesh, and again I've gone with a highlight, this time just on the very highest points of those areas of the skin that are raised, leaving the previous layers showing below it, and then also on the scarring on the top of his head. It's got quite extensive scarring. It's taken out one of his eyes and also his left ear. Then I've used some deepkin flesh and just used that to pick out the scarring again. So on the top of the head, the ear, just on the tip of the chopped ear, and also around that damaged eye. And to finish that scarring off, I've used some Druchii Violet shade. And I've just given that a nice coat over that scarring, just to give it some scar tissue-y kind of look. Next, I've gone back to Volupus Pink on the tongue, just to help it stand out a bit from the gums. Volupus Pink is a lovely colour and works really well for tongues, showing through some different tones over that white base coat. Next, I've carefully used some Abaddon Black, just with a very fine tip, just to put a tiny iris looking ahead menacingly in that one good eye that he has. And then I've come through with some thinned down Berserker Bloodshade, just to give that eye a bit of a bloodshot look. Next, I've taken some Drakenhof Nightshade and I've watered it down a bit. I'm just using it on the face, in the cheeks and around the eyes and lips of that head, just to give it a bit of a dead, pale, faded look. Now we're going to go around and do any of the bone or skull areas. So the skull on the knife on his back, he's got some little teeth trinkets around his waist, and then also his own teeth. And now moving on to the metallics. So I'm using some Iron Warriors, particularly on the chainmail, and also the chains on the weapon. And then I've sort of stippled and dry brushed Ironbreaker on the rest of the armor and metallic. So all over, just dabbing and dry brushing, just to give it a burnished, stressed look. Then I've used some Runefang Steel just to highlight the edges of the axe, just to pop some shine on those edge lines to make it stick out somewhat, and also added some cuts and nicks on the axe and at various places around the armor. Now what I'm using is some Black Templar contrast mixed with some contrast medium at about 75% contrast medium, maybe 60%. And I'm going to apply that over all of the armor plates, not the chainmail, not the axe, just the armor plates. And this will allow the metal just to come through on the highest points and give it a dark blackish metallic finish. Now I'm just going through with some Balthazar Gold just to pick out some of the other little metallic trinkets. He's got a dwarf rune hanging off his chest there. There's also some little coins or knickknacks hanging off of his axe, and then also the lion crest of the knight's helm, and also the teeth on the front of that belt. Now, it is a little bit hard to see, but I've gone through with some Corax White and just picked out the lines of the cross on the topmost shield that he is standing on. And I'd also gone through previously and just picked out some of the other details on the shields. Now I'm going through with some Nuln Oil shade. I apply this over all of the axe quite heavily, and then also all of the chainmail and other metallics, such as the Balthazar gold, just to give them nice shading. Then I'm using some Imperial Fist on the shield, on half of the bottommost shield on the base, and then some Ironjaw's yellow contrast on the ribbon that is hanging off the back of the knight's helm. Now, as a little finishing touch, I've used a bit of blood for the blood god on the neck of the severed head, and then I've also splashed some up just a little bit on the front of the axe, just to give it a bit of subtle in the heat of battle gore. And there we have it. The best artist boss in all of the world. Grimgor Ironhide. One of my all-time favorites. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I look forward to getting him out onto the tabletop. As always, if you could like and subscribe, that would really help the channel grow. And leave a comment down below if you like what you see, and maybe suggest what you'd like to see next. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Bye for now.